Hello everybody, this is Fernando for the latest aliens and UFOs video. Alright, let's go ahead and let's do another entry here. This one yet again based on one of your new suggestions. This one a unique one in the sense that it's not really one individual situation, but actually a culmination of multiple ones. In fact, this happened over several years there in Italy, and it's pretty much a bunch of incidents and then hundreds of witnesses that make this a complete story. So again, it's not one single instance, but rather multiple situations over multiple years, and it has a very unique name too. In fact, the colloquial term is known as this. It's known as the Italian friendship case, and I'm going to chronicle several of these incidences here, including some very unique photographs that apparently showcase not just real-life aliens, but also the inside of a UFO. So lots of good, interesting stuff to talk about. In fact, you're looking at one of those representations here. And again, it's known colloquially as the Italian friendship case. So let's go ahead and let's talk about this unique UFO set of contacts. And then I'd love to hear what your thoughts on it are afterward. So here's essentially what happened. Again, there's no exact pinpoint spot associated with this other than the fact that this happened there in Italy. The earliest known instance is maybe around 1956, but it could have been even more. But this lasted up until 1990, and in fact, if you wanted to know the total number of incidences, it's actually above 12,000. Can you believe that? Over 12,000 of these incidences, including one major one that I'll focus on here on a minute. But this goes to show that there was a lot of these activities happening there. In fact, during that time period, Italy was apparently known as a hub. It was a hub associated with many UFO and alien encounters. But yes, the earliest one could have been about 1956, and that's when some Italians there, including those that were along the coast of the Adriatic Sea and the Italian peninsula, started to experience regular contact with these human-like entities. And in fact, instead of referring to them as aliens, they referred to them as friends, hence the name associated with this case, the friendship case. But yes, they referred to them as friends because these aliens came in, arrived on Earth, and they were here to essentially guide and help mankind. They would do these multiple encounters with these people, and then they would just showcase to them many unique things, not only showcasing where they came from, and then also apparently where they were at the moment, including those underground bases there at the Adriatic coast, but then also showcase the inside of the actual UFOs and then how those things worked, and also showcase to them how they look like, especially when they were walking amongst humans. But yes, one of those encounters involved a face-to-face meeting associated with these aliens. In fact, it was chronicled by an author by the name of Stefano Breccia. He made a book called Mass Contacts, and in it, he stated that there were 3 young boys who had consistent meetings with these aliens, and whenever that happened, one of them actually was able to take a picture. It looked like it was more on the lines of they were allowed to take this picture, and in fact, you're looking at it here. It's about a tall man who was described as being 10 feet tall, and he was one of these quote-unquote friends. So if you ever wanted to see a purported photograph of an alien in disguise as a human, that's essentially what you're looking at here. Interesting, right? I mean, it could just be just a random photograph of a man. And again, this is coming from the testimony of 3 young boys, and it could just be a regular person. But if you go by the belief that it was truly them having contact with these quote-unquote friends, and then one of them allowed them to be able to take a picture, almost like a selfie of sorts, of this person slash alien slash friend, that's it. You're looking at it right now. Interesting stuff, right? This could be the proof associated with an actual alien encounter. But yes, another one has to do with the big one that I was mentioning earlier. That's where all of a sudden there was these encounter. There was an encounter, especially in 1954, during a football match. That's when apparently multiple UFOs in tandem flew right over the stadium, and they pretty much were there in front of 10,000 people, all of it during broad daylight, all of them seeing this UFO or set of UFOs at the same time. In fact, they were described as looking egg-like, moving very, very slowly, purposefully across the stadium itself. This caused everyone to look up. They described it also as having this glittery-like light to it, like almost like a silver glitter, the way it was shining across the sky. Everyone was astonished, obviously in shock, seeing something like this out there in the open, mentioning it with regards to normally these situations is a secret thing. People see this out in the middle of nowhere just by one person, but here it's the stark difference, the absolute just out visibility associated with this encounter. This one is definitely a big one there. And then there was another encounter. This was something involving a doctor by the name of Dr. Pinotti. He stated that later on, not only was his house full of lots of research associated with UFOs, including alien memorabilia and newspaper clippings and so on, he produced these blurry photos that you're looking at now. And then he stated that these photos actually were taken by two men who saw a UFO landing there in a place called Francavilla, there in Italy. And the way he described it was they allowed this person to be able to go inside the UFO, not just see it from outside, which was about 24 meters wide, and then maybe about 10 meters tall. 10 meters length. But yes, they were able to get inside and then see what you're looking at here. This is the control cabin associated with this UFO. In fact, these photographs were analyzed and they were found to not be fake, but not be authentic, whatever that means. Maybe it's something along the lines of you can't really prove that it's fake, but you can't prove that it's real at the same time. And then if you wanted to see something else when it came to a different shock, how about this? This is yet again another photograph of an apparent friend. This is a human-like entity. They have these dark shades, these dark sunglasses on them. And then this was one of those photographs that was also allowed. And then it showcases the actual alien itself. How about that, right? If this is true, then not only did you have the other one involving a 10-foot tall person / man / alien, and now you have this. Apparently inside the actual cabin with the UFO, and then there's this human with the shades themselves, and then that's the information associated with that specific encounter. Interesting stuff, right? Like, this is truly up there when it comes to evidence, and then also the situations involving what's happening there in Italy, or what was happening during the so-called friendship case. For whatever reason, it just became this huge hub associated with all these encounters and these friendly aliens that allowed so much access to what they were to what their situation was in terms of how they looked, and then also in terms of their UFO itself. And there's more photographs too. Apparently they were published in a book called Sono Extraterrestri back in 1958, but it's a pretty hard book to find because apparently it was never published outside of Italy. But wow, just amazing stuff when it comes to the proof associated with these encounters. But that's just a small taste associated with this Italian friendship case. Again, just a small handful of them, of a purported 12,000 plus UFO cases. So I'm sure there's a bunch more that I can feature here. And if there's some that stand out, I'll definitely showcase them on another video too. But if anybody has any information, anything else I might have missed, please let me know. What about those of you there in Italy? Remember, this is a span, something that occurred between the 1950s up until the 1990s. So if someone has maybe a more personal encounter, or maybe they know someone that was along the lines of a family member, then please let me know any type of specific comments for that below. One last thing too that was interesting that was shared regarding UFOs, the aliens slash friends stated that for them, flying saucers were not the primary means of transport. It was more along the lines of it was a temporary laboratory and base. So that's another interesting angle too. So in other words, it didn't sound like they were using these UFOs to fly around from point A to point B. Like that wasn't their main mode of transportation, but instead it was a way for them, I guess, to be able to do so while functioning and doing other things on the UFO itself. So it makes you wonder what their real mode of transportation was, right? That's another interesting aspect I wanted to share here. But all right, everybody, thanks again as always. Take care.